It's pretty clear that Sony does not want the Activision Blizzard acquisition to pass. So over the last couple of days, the talk has been about the comments that Sony made to the Brazilian Commission looking at the Activision Blizzard acquisition. And they started this process back on May 20th. They've asked a bunch of questions to third parties, to other companies out there, what their comments are, what their thoughts are on the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Xbox. And this is just something that all of these commissions are going to be going through, as there are 20 or so regulators that actually have to approve this deal before the deal is finalized and before it goes through. As we actually saw this the other day, the dates for all of these different companies and their competition regulators, and when they are going to be starting, when they're going to be looking at this, and when they're going to be ending. And you can see here, as this is a post from IDAS on Reset Era, but on Twitter from IdleSauce, saying when to expect the first or final decision by the country competitive regulator regarding the Activision Blizzard acquisition. And you see all the dates down here. And basically, by looking at this, it seems like when it's all said and done, mid-September to the end of September, all of these commissions should have their final decision as to whether they want the Activision Blizzard acquisition to be finalized and to go through and pass. Now, the big talk, like I said, was Sony's comments, because talking to the Brazilian regulators, they had to answer a bunch of questions. And these questions ranged from questions about physical and digital distribution and whether those markets need to be segmented or not, things about barriers to entry for companies within the video game market. And if you go further down, deeper on into the questions, they really focus on the Activision Blizzard games and Activision Blizzard publishing. And they ask questions like, does Activision Blizzard publish any titles which, due to its characteristics or specificities, does not have close competitors published by other companies in the games? Continues on here, another question saying, in the event that future Activision Blizzard titles are no longer available to competing Microsoft or Xbox ecosystems, to what extent would competition in the digital game distribution market be affected? Another question here definitely plays into Sony's response to what they thought about the Activision Blizzard acquisition, saying here, do you think that it is likely that Microsoft will take Activision Blizzard games off of competing digital stores, even if this practice could result in a loss of revenues from sales of these titles in other channels? That's an interesting question, because we already know right now, from what we understand with games like Call of Duty, Microsoft has already said they are keeping it multi-platform. They aren't going to be taking it off of those digital storefronts, which, yes, if they were to take Call of Duty off of the digital storefronts, because of how big the game is, because of the amount of money that just franchise makes every single year, it would hurt the amount of revenues that they make off of Call of Duty. It's just that big of a game, and it would be crazy to see how many people were to transfer over to Xbox Game Pass and sign up, or to the Xbox ecosystem if it was exclusive. But because of just how big Call of Duty is, I'm not sure if enough people would transfer over to offset the loss in revenues that would occur by taking it off of PC, taking it off of PlayStation. A lot of people would potentially, if all of their friends are still on PlayStation, all their friends are still on PC, pick up another shooter or something along those lines. But maybe not. Maybe so many people would transfer over to Xbox Game Pass and play it, and it would make up for the loss of revenues from those channels. And then these last two ones here are also interesting to look at. In your company's view, does Activision Blizzard publish any game that could be considered essential for a gaming hardware vendor to work? And then finally, what is the relevance of the existence of exclusive titles in the competitive dynamics of the gaming hardware console market? And the dynamics of that right now has completely changed. For PlayStation, for Sony, it is their dynamic. It is what they try to do to sell their console, which is exclusive titles on the PS5. With Xbox, that isn't the case. We know you can play these games anywhere within their ecosystem. For them, it's not the hardware that they focus on, it's the ecosystem and the exclusivity within that ecosystem. Now, here are the answers. So there are a bunch of other companies that answered as well. You can see, go down here, you got Warner Brothers, you see Ubisoft, you see Bandai Namco, Apple, Riot Games, Amazon, Google, Meta, like all of these companies answered, but the majority of them weren't negative on the actual decision itself, on the actual acquisition. For example, if we read through Warner Brothers here. Developing and publishing PC and console games may require investment in terms of value, time, and resources. However, the existence of several companies that develop and publish games for PCs and consoles demonstrates that such barriers are not high enough to prevent entry, especially by companies that operate in somehow related sectors, such as electronics or software, and/or robust competition. Entering the mobile market has even lower barriers. They don't have specific comments or concerns at this time regarding the transaction. In any case, lots of redacted answers in this case. That's another thing. A lot of the information from this was redacted, but I just went through and actually pulled out the stuff that could be seen and broken down in this nice post. But here's Sony's response to this, which you can tell by reading this. They don't want this deal to go through. They're almost terrified of the prospect of Call of Duty being something that they're not going to have exclusive marketing rights to. They're not going to have as much power with a title like Call of Duty anymore. As we know previously, I mean, even right now with the upcoming Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, they do have all these marketing rights. We have exclusive game modes for Call of Duty on PlayStation only. So it's ridiculous to think that they aren't looking at that and thinking how much power they're going to lose from the Call of Duty franchise. But here's what they say. Sony, this is their response. They say that from a development publication perspective, game development typically involves an early stage that is neutral in relation to the platform before the game is adopted for one or more specific platforms. So yeah, I mean, neutral relation to the platform, in developing games on PC, I would say that's probably what most companies do, and then they adapt them to the different platforms that are out there. I mean, that's the most neutral you could go, especially with the way that these consoles are built right now with PlayStation and with Xbox. They believe that all games compete for engagement of the player. That's fair. All games do compete for engagement of the player, which is why Sony is trying to get more into games as a service and knowing that they have to make more multiplayer games. Players choose their gaming platform based on pricing, technical feature, and available game types. The available content is the main factor for the player to choose a platform. And you can see, I mean, that's true in essence. I mean, that is something that is a fact within the different platforms out there, but it's not what content is locked to a specific one device that is going to be the only thing that people look at. They're looking at things now with all these subscription and all the value and choice that we have out there, which ecosystem provides the best content, provides the most valuable content out there. And Xbox Game Pass right now does that. They say that there are few barriers to entry in game development and publishing for PC, that only one developer can create an indie game and distribute it online. But creating a high-end AAA game like Activision's Call of Duty requires a budget of hundreds of millions of dollars and thousands of employees. They say that apart from Activision, there are few developers or publishers capable of producing AAA games such as EA's FIFA, Take-Two's Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto, and Epic Games' Fortnite. These games tend to be long-running franchises with big budgets, multi-year development cycles, and very supportive followers. And you know what? They're completely right on that. That's a very factual statement. They are long-running franchises that span decades. They're franchises that have massive budgets and tons of employees working on it. And even with Call of Duty, even though it is a yearly release, they all have multi-year development cycles as they have so many studios working on it. I mean, Modern Warfare 2 is coming up, but you know that the other studios are already working on the next Call of Duty. And the fan base, you can see by the sales, you can see by the amount of people that talk about Call of Duty every single year. They're rabid for these big, huge AAA games. Despite all that, Sony believes that none of these developers could create a franchise rival to Activision's Call of Duty. So they don't believe that any of these other big AAA developers could create another shooter that is as successful as Call of Duty, that could rival Call of Duty. Which, I mean, right there, they're saying that, hey, you're giving, if this deal goes through, you're giving Xbox and you're giving Microsoft a massive advantage over any other company out there, because they're going to have control of a game that literally nobody else can compete with and nobody else can create. And then they continue on here, say, which stands out as a gaming category on its own. So Call of Duty is a gaming category on its own. Weird, because it is just a multiplayer first-person shooter. Yes, it is a huge game. It sells the most. It has the most people that play it. But at some point, especially if you take a look at the last couple of years of Call of Duty, it has been falling off a little bit. They haven't been meeting as much as their expectations as they would want to. There is an entry point for somebody to make a competitor that people love and play as much, just really, I guess nobody has done. There are other great multiplayer shooters out there that just haven't taken off as much. But I mean, even look at something like Halo Infinite, where I think that's a game, it's a huge game. It's a great game right now in terms of the gameplay, but with the way that they launched Halo Infinite's multiplayer, they missed an opportunity to, I would say, jump in there, take some of that market and just expand on it and make it bigger and get people to play Halo instead of play Call of Duty. But right now they haven't been able to do that with their multiplayer. So there are opportunities out there. People just haven't been able to do that. Continues on here to say that's why they believe that Call of Duty is so popular. It influences users' choice of console. In fact, their network of loyal users is so ingrained that even if a competitor had the budget to develop a similar product, it would not be able to create a rival. Interesting as well, because they have done so many exclusive marketing deals and exclusive deals with Call of Duty, as they know that the third-party users, the people who play third-party games, are far more important for their own platform than the amount of people that play their first-party titles. It makes them probably way more money, the amount of people that play Call of Duty on PlayStation, than the amount of people that play Horizon Forbidden West or the upcoming God of War, just through all of the transactions they get through the PlayStation network and all of that type of stuff, and just how many more people play Call of Duty over those types of games. But I mean, at the end of the day, Microsoft has already said the game is staying multi-platform. So I would say a lot of people, if it's the only game they play, if their networks are on PlayStation, all their friends are on PlayStation, they're probably just going to continue to play Call of Duty on PlayStation. And it continues on here saying they talk about time, money, number of employees, millions of followers, sales, and other data points related to Call of Duty to show how it's a very unique franchise that cannot be replaced. They agree that subscription services compete with games purchased for a one-time fee. So they're saying here that if Game Pass competes with a full price game, people will decide to rather sign up for these subscription services over pay for a game at full price. And I would say in some ways that is true. I mean, some people will just sign up for Game Pass, and because the value is so great there, they may not even be looking at what next big full price AAA game is coming out. They're just going to stay within that ecosystem of Game Pass and play whatever that is there, knowing that games are continuously coming and it's games that they want to play. Then you on here to say, but they think the lowest upfront cost of subscription services could be anti-competitive in relation to publishers who recoup the significant investment in games by selling them for an upfront fee. They also think that this could harm consumers by reducing the quality of games. So that statement right there is literally just Jim Ryan's virtuous cycle statement that he continuously says, and then goes out and releases a rebranded PlayStation Plus where they're going to go down the subscription services route, which they know is the future, and that they're going to have to be able to compete in that sphere, which is why the way they did. So this statement here, it's hilarious based off of what we've seen PlayStation do over the last year in 2022. And we've already seen numbers come out. We've already seen developers come out and pretty much dispel a lot of this stuff, that it reduces the quality of the games, that doesn't help the developers, and that it's going to be something that you're not going to be able to make your investment back from as a developer trying to put your game onto Xbox Game Pass, because they get that lump sum of fee or lump sum of money from Xbox and from Microsoft once they put their game onto Game Pass, which a lot of times covers their marketing costs, covers a lot of their development costs, and they don't even have to worry about trying to recoup that by putting the game out there at full price. Plus, then they make money off of people seeing the game in Game Pass, buying the game because they liked it, paying for the microtransactions. And maybe there's a clause in there that if people are playing this game for a certain period of time, or how many users play it, they make more money if they meet that clause. And finally, they say that over the past 5 years, Game Pass has grown to capture approximately 60 to 70% of the global subscription services market. I mean, right there, even Sony admitting, which we already knew, Game Pass is the leader right now. The market share is even greater in Brazil, where Game Pass represents approximately 70 to 80 of the PC subscription services market, which is huge. They believe that it would take several years for a competitor, even with substantial investments, to create a rival effective to Game Pass. Again, Sony admitting Game Pass was first in, Game Pass has done the best, Game Pass has the best value. We're not going to be able to catch them. And once Activision Blizzard is purchased, once Call of Duty starts dropping to Game Pass, there's absolutely no way that anybody is going to be able to catch that Game Pass subscription service. Finally, Call of Duty represents an important revenue stream for PlayStation. They provided data, but it's redacted, and it's one of SIE's biggest sources of revenue from third parties. So there you have it. This is exactly, honestly, I'm not shocked that Sony would say this. It makes a ton of sense. You just kind of look at what Sony has been doing with Call of Duty over the last while, with the marketing deals, getting exclusive content onto the platform, and they know that a third-party game like Call of Duty is probably one of the most important revenue drivers for their platform, and they don't want to lose any of that. And they know as well that when Xbox gets this deal, once it goes through, which it is going to go through, in my opinion, Call of Duty coming onto Xbox Game Pass is definitely going to take some of those users from PlayStation over to Xbox Game Pass. We don't know how much it will be. We don't know how many people are going to want to leave that ecosystem, especially if they have all their friends on there and all their stats, and go over to Xbox. Even though you think about the stats of Call of Duty, it really is all cross-play and cross-platform now, so it doesn't really matter. But they are definitely going to lose a chunk of their subscribers for PlayStation Plus to play online, for whatever other revenues that they're gaining from people who just tap into the PlayStation Network through playing Call of Duty. And they're terrified of that, and they know it's going to have a big hit. This is why they are saying what they are saying. Will this have any effect on this deal going through? I don't think so whatsoever. I don't, especially when you look at the responses from everybody else down here. Everyone else is just like, okay, whatever. The deal's, there's nothing really anti-competitive about this deal. And we'll wait and see what happens from the other trade commissions, and if they're going to be asking these types of questions, and if Sony's going to be able to respond and what they will say. But this was a very interesting thing that's going on. Everybody has their take on it, and I just wanted to give you my thoughts on Sony's comments.
Bye.